In 2002, a mother and two daughters left their city of Juarez, Mexico, due to the rising crime rate for the United States. Lidia Diaz, then the baby of the family, was 6 years old.
I didn't know any English. I think just a couple of phrases that they would teach us in first grade. Also, being separated from my close cousins was really hard for me. I remember that I was really angry at my parents that first year because I didn't want to be here. I wanted to be with my friends, with my teachers. I remember I had a crush on a little boy in first grade, and I would tell my mom, "Mom, why? I was supposed to marry him." But yeah, just a lot of different emotions that run through a 6-year-old.
The Diaz family joined their father and husband, who was a little over 1,000 miles away in the heart of the United States.
So I remember that all of a sudden, just my dad had to go on a trip, and I didn't understand. I've always admired my dad, so it was really hard for me. But he came to the United States in Norfolk, where we have family, and stayed with them for a month. And once he saw that, being here was a possibility for the rest of the family, my mom and my older sister and myself met at a bus station to greet him. And I think that's a situation that I'll always remember because I hadn't seen him in a month.
Lidia finished kindergarten and first grade in Mexico. Here she started second grade and finished elementary school, middle school, high school in Norfolk, Nebraska. Then she moved to Omaha for college along with her family, now of 5, a baby brother born here. In 2017, Lidia graduated from the College of St. Mary with a degree in business analytics and strategic communication. She currently works as a marketing communication coordinator with the Immigrant Legal Center in Omaha.
Yes, so we overstayed the visa. The plan was to be here for a little while, but my parents just saw that it would be better for us to have a future here in the United States.
Lidia is a Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA recipient, or more commonly referred to as Dreamers. In the past 7 years, she has renewed her status 4 times, has paid over $2,500, can work, has a driver's license, cannot travel outside the United States, and her status expires in 2021.
I think we have a lot of folks who don't know DACA or TPS, right? They live we're sort of segregated lives, by and large. It's not intentional, just the way life is.
A retired general of the Air Force, Republican Congressman Bacon represents Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District since 2017 and has delivered on his early promise to fight as heck for the DACA youth. In June 2019, Congressman Bacon was one of 7 Republican yes votes in the House of Representatives that, along with the Democrat vote, enabled the passage of the American Dream and Promise Act of 2019. The bill that creates a path to citizenship for Dreamers is now in the Senate.
Why do you support that?
Most of it's my background. I'm a Christian. I believe that we're all equal in God's eyes. All have great value by our Creator. I was raised on a farm, and I think about half of my friends were Hispanic. I don't think they're probably second generation, but at least their parents brought them to America. And so they were my friends. They came over to my house. I go to their house. So that's sort of my background. Then in the Air Force, we're all ethnicities. We didn't ask. We didn't really care what our ethnicity background was. We served our Constitution and our country, and it didn't matter what your background was. So that's sort of my background. And then just the logic of it for DACA, should we hold someone accountable for what their parents did? When their parents bring someone over at 3 years old or 4 years old, that wasn't that child's choice. And so I think there should be some mercy, some grace that's given towards these young adults or teenagers now who came here no fault of their own. Their parents brought them here, and all they know is America.
I know for a fact that I'm Mexican because I was born in Juarez, but I think that I perceive myself as an American because my customs are that of the culture here, within the university system, within my work ethics. Since I look up to a lot of people that have paved the way for me, and my mentors are American, and just their ideals of success, their ideals of hard work. I definitely consider myself an American, but I still, try to remember my roots. Even when people ask me where I'm from, I tell them I'm from Nebraska. I'm from Norfolk, Nebraska. I was definitely raised in the United States.
Besides the compassion that you have for this group of people, is there any economic profit from keeping this group?
Well, I think it does start from the compassion side and doing what is right. But realistically, these children who are now older teenagers, young adults, they've gone to our schools. And I've gone to UNO, where I've met many of our DACA youth at UNO. Some are at Creighton right now, I've met them. So you have these folks who've been raised in our community.
All the dreamers that I've met are just passionate about succeeding, passionate about studying and learning. I've never seen them do it kind of as for their benefit, to gain the benefits. They've just genuinely have been wanting to go to school.
I've met some who have stores. Some who want to be the best ballet dancer in America. We have others who want to be cyber warriors defending our country from cyber attack. So these are some of the DACA youth I've talked to. So they have talent, and they've lived here their whole life that they remember, many of them. And so the economic value is that we've already schooled, educated, and trained these folks, and they want to have a part of our society and contribute. And so I would say that would be the economic part of that. But I think it just starts what is right. And in this case, I start with that on the compassion side. But I think that, compassion shouldn't guide everything. It is what is right. In this case, it's not their fault.
There have been a couple of instances where I even have questioned my progress. In a couple of moments of frustration, I've told myself, well, is it even worth it, to have a degree? Is it even worth it to try hard? Because what's the point if in 2 years I might not be able to work?
What do your constituents think about your vote yes for this vote? Do they embrace your voting history? Most
do. Now, there are some that are not. And I understand the other side of this is there's a rule of law. And some feel that a law has been violated, in this case by the parents. And so that's the sort of the friction here. If you stop enforcing the rule of law, are you inviting more violations of the rule of law? So that's the other side of the argument in a nutshell. But I would say that I have roughly 80% support on this issue. But there's a large group that would say just do DACA in your period. There's another 50% that say we want to do DACA, but please fix the problem. We have, as you know, in this last year, we've averaged between 60,000 to 140,000 a month cross either illegally or requesting asylum, and that's a lot.
If you're in front of the Senate advocating for your group, what would your arguments be?
Well, I would describe to them just the passion that I have for serving people, and the fact that I am from a different country doesn't mean that I'm not an American. That's all I know. If I were to have to go back, I would make it work, but it wouldn't feel right. I wouldn't belong there. I would argue for that, saying that, look at the things that other dreamers have accomplished, how much effort they've put into their community, how much they actually help, the economy, and a lot of dreamers that are entrepreneurs that actually are creating jobs. I would try to really speak to them from the heart.
What is your sense? Will it pass the Senate?
Well, I had talked to at least 3 of my colleagues from Nebraska, and I probably should have talked to the 4th, but I remember talking to 3 just offhand. And I did talk about how we have roughly 3,000 DACA in Omaha. But I also shared with them the polling I've seen. To me, it was about doing the right thing. But if you want to try to convince someone, you say, hey, I also have 80% support on this issue. And so I have had that conversation. But I really think the key for the Senate is most folks will vote for DACA, but they're getting pressure from a lot of their constituency to fix the problem too. And I really think if there was a compromise that involved Republicans and Democrats that involved DACA, but it also talked about targeted wall area, an improvement in the asylum, Maybe E-Verify would be an option. There's a reluctance on many just to do that when there's not been anything else done to work on the borders. Our Congress is so gridlocked on, should we put 200 miles of wall or zero? I mean, Nancy Pelosi said not a dollar. The president wanted $5 billion. I think if we would have done like $2 billion, because that's how the system works, and we would have come up with E-Verify and more judges so we could do quicker hearings, DACA would be pretty easy to pass. And so I think that my wish would have been that Democrats and Republicans would be more willing to do a little more comprehensive plan and not just DACA itself, because it's really going to take a comprehensive plan to make this filibuster-proof in the Senate and for the president to sign.
There is a general perception that the Republican Party does not support or is not very welcoming of immigrants. What is the talk within the party? What is the feeling toward my group of people?
I think it's a grave mistake that more folks in our party do not work overtime to reach out to our immigrant citizens who have become citizens. I'll just look at our Hispanic community in South Omaha, for example. They and I don't want to overgeneralize. We have people on, you have hardcore capitalists and hardcore people on the left, right? And so, but generally, our Hispanic citizens in South O, they're pro-life, they're pro-small business, they're pro-family. They have more Republican values than any other ethnicity group out there. But yet they feel like the Republicans don't like them because a few are tone deaf. They're not respectful. Most immigrants want to know that we respect them. And it's been a failure of our party to not reach out and do better.
I've definitely sensed a sense of indifference or a sense of just general racism that maybe people they weren't so open to showing in the past. They have expressed themselves in ways that I didn't think that they thought of our group. I can say that one positive thing that has come out of negative things that have been said about my group is people know that we exist. People are aware now that DACA and Dreamers are a thing. When before, for us, it was a big deal because it was our lives. But now people are aware that there's people that are struggling to, do the things that they can do, such as strive.
For DACA youth, the door is half open. According to USCIS, approximately 661,000 active recipients live in all 50 states, led by California. The American Dream and Promise Act of 2019 awaits the vote of the Senate.
I feel like I do belong in the United States and this is my home, but in the back of my mind, there's always kind of been a separation because, I'm not from here, but it's this saying in Spanish that says, ni de aquí, ni de allá, which refers to not from here nor there. Because I'm not from the United States, even though I feel like if I am, and I am from Mexico, but I feel like I'm not. So it's an interesting contrast. No, I love America. I love and I appreciate everyone in general. It's really made me look up to Americans because, as I mentioned, some of my greatest mentors are American and are just so passionate and so compassionate about everything that they do. I really esteem just the American culture.
They're here by no fault of their own, and they've been raised here, have gone to school here, and they should be Americans.